Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of the Shipper TMS onboarding webinar. I'm Jess, and I'm the sales engineer here at Super Dispatch. Today, we have Brittany, our Director of Customer Success, and Chelsea, a Customer Success Manager, here with us today, and we're here to give you the tips and tricks on setting up your Shipper TMS account to make sure you hit the ground running and move cars faster. In our last session, we talked about setting up your account and filling out your shipper profile. If you missed that session, let us know in the chat and we'll get a recording sent over to you. Since I've already introduced our team, the rest of today's agenda is to walk you through some of the features of your Shipper TMS account, like carrier management, dashboard overviews, and reporting. After that, we'll save time to answer any questions you might have. Let's jump right into it. Feel free to log into your own account and follow along if you'd like. We'll also be sending a recording of this webinar, so you'll later be able to refer back to it if you want to reference something we're talking about today. The first step is to log into the platform. You can do this by clicking on the shipper option from the login page of our homepage or by going to shipper.superdispatch.com. I have my credentials in here, so I'll go ahead and click log in. In our last session, we talked about setting up your profile and creating orders. We also sent a test order to a carrier. Now, let's look at how you can manage your carrier network. To do this, we'll click on Manage Carriers towards the bottom of the left-hand panel. In this section, I can see multiple tabs across the top. The first one is Recent Carriers. In this tab, you'll see any carriers you've worked with recently that are not marked as approved or can instantly book. This is a great way to see the carriers that you've worked with recently in one spot. The next tab you'll see is the Approved tab. This tab is for carriers that you have vetted and have determined they meet all of your requirements to transport vehicles for your company. You'll notice as you work with this carrier across the Shipper TMS that these carriers will have the approved tag next to their name so that you can visually see that you have vetted these carriers. The Can Instantly Book tab is the next one. This is a running list of carriers that you have given this status to. This is the best status you can use to help automate your processes. Any carrier in this status that has this Can Instantly Book tag can instantly book a load with you from the super load board as long as they don't change the dates or negotiate the price you set on the load. This helps reduce work for your team by not having to go in and approve each request sent on a load. This is a status for carriers that you've worked with for a while and trust completely. The next tab is the Certificate Holder tab, and that's just that, a running list of carriers that have listed you as a certificate holder. If this is something you require in your vetting process, you'll want to make sure any carriers you work with have this tag. Next, we have the Expired Insurance tab. This is a good sign that I don't have any carriers in this tab. This tab happens automatically and is a great thing to keep an eye on. Any carrier whose insurance is expired will automatically get this tag and appear in this list. You don't need to do anything to mark a carrier with this status. This tag will appear next to the name when you send an offer or if they try to request a load from the super load board. So you'll always know before sending or accepting an order that their insurance is out of date. After that, we have the Blacklisted tab. If you have a bad experience with a carrier and you want to ensure that you never work with them again, you can mark them as blacklisted. While they can still see any loads you post on the super load board, they can't actually send you a request or try to book them. This is a helpful status to ensure you don't get requests from carriers who didn't meet your standards. Finally, we have the Internal tab. While you can't send offers to any carriers in this tab, we understand that you want to keep all your records in one place, and this is where you can create a carrier entry for carriers you work with who don't use Super Dispatch. This is a way to maintain those records even though the carrier doesn't use our product. Now that we have looked at these statuses and what they mean, let's talk about how we actually set a carrier status. I'm going to go back to this Approved tab, and I'm going to pull up this demo account. Now that I'm in the profile of a carrier, I can see all of their company information, and I can see this section for internal records. If I click on this pencil, it allows me to edit my internal records for this carrier. I can see that I put them into approved status on March 25th. So if I click on that, that allows me to change that status. So I can approve them, blocklist them, or move them back to default. If I want to mark a carrier as can instantly book, I first need to mark them as approved. Once they are approved, I have this checkbox for instantly booking, and to allow them to do that, I'll click it and enable it. I can also mark things like insurance certificate holder, and any extra files that I might have on them, I can upload as an attachment here as well. Once I've made the changes, I'll go ahead and click Save. And that has been an overview of the managed carriers. Moving into the next section in this left-hand panel, we'll go into customers. The Customer tab allows for easy tracking of customer information when creating orders and shipping cars. If you don't have customer information, you can simply ignore this tab. But here's where you can enter customer details, such as contact names and information to keep track of, such as notes for carriers. I have a sample customer created here. We can see the customer information, such as the business address, the main business phone number, and a company email address. Then below that, you can also create additional contacts within that customer. So here I have my information as a contact. You've got my name, my title, my direct line, and my email. And then on the right-hand side, we can see notes that I've left about this customer. These are things like the notes for the carrier, internal notes for my team, and any instructions that I want to appear on the load board when posting orders with that carrier, or I'm sorry, with that customer information. I can also include any order instructions that a carrier should see and know about before accepting an order, and they'll see them again once they accept it and actually get ready to move that vehicle. I have these little eyes here on each section. If I hover my mouse over that, that will show me notes specific to that field. So this tells me that this is used and displayed internally in the Shipper TMS only. This one would remind me that carriers can see these notes. So it's a good way to make sure you're putting notes in the correct section. You can manually enter this information by clicking Create New and filling out these fields. You can also save time and effort by importing a spreadsheet if you have all your customer information already in a CSV file. We also provide a sample file, so you can easily enter all that information and make sure it's formatted correctly so that the system will create it. Once you have all that there, you can simply drag and drop, and then all your customer information will appear in this list here on the left. And back in this left-hand panel, we'll go ahead and we'll drop down into the terminal section. Functionally, terminals are very similar to customers, but this is for your pickup and drop-off locations. Saving these entries means that when you create orders and start typing a name, they will autofill, preventing typos and saving time instead of manually having to enter each detail. Here, I have a sample terminal created. I have the main business information, and I also have a specific contact listed. You can also add notes for carriers to see and additional contacts as you need them. When you click on Add New, the new contact information will come up and you can fill out those blanks, and they will autofill as you're creating orders throughout the system. Just like customers, you can click the Create New to manually create a new terminal. If you already have this information in a spreadsheet, you can also import it. And again, just like the Customers tab, we also have a sample file that you can download to make sure it's formatted correctly and imports into the system. And back in our left-hand panel, we'll go ahead and move on to the dashboard section. This might be my favorite underutilized feature of the Shipper TMS product. This is a tab you might not spend a ton of time in, but the few minutes you do could be crucial to your business. In this tab, you can see a high-level overview of everything happening inside your account. On the top left, we can see the aging orders. These are orders that were created more than 5 days ago and have not been assigned to the carrier. These are often in new or canceled status. If there are orders that appear in these sections, I have a link to view orders. And if I click on that, that will take me specifically to those exact orders that are in that aging status. Across from that, we can see delayed pickups. These are often orders that have a carrier assigned, but have not been marked picked up, despite the pickup date having passed. Below that, we have picked up today and delivered today. These are orders that are set to be either picked up or delivered today. And so this is exactly an easy way to see what orders will have some sort of action happening, today. Next, we have orders delivered and vehicles delivered. These boxes show how many orders and individual vehicles were delivered from the first of the current month to today. Underneath that, as you continue to use the Shipper TMS account, you'll also see a 3-month overview so that you can compare trends within your business and track, whether your business is trending upwards or downwards, account for seasonal lulls, things like that. We also have a section for on-time pickups and on-time deliveries. This is where you can see the percentage of your orders that were picked up on time and delivered on time. If you are seeing lower numbers here, you might want to take a closer look at the carrier names in the section below it. These are the carriers you work with who have had the most delays in either picking up or delivering vehicles. Finally, we have delayed deliveries. This is a section where you can see any orders that were not delivered on time or have not yet been delivered and that order delivery date has passed. Again, this is a great way to see everything that's going on in your account at a high-level overview so that you can click in to any potential issues and address them before they become bigger issues. The final section that we'll talk about today is the reporting section. This is the best way to get data out of the Shipper TMS in a way that can be consumed by people on your team. Almost every field can be reported on, and this is a great way to find answers to questions like, how many vehicles were delivered this quarter? How often are vehicles delivered to a specific location? What does my accounts payable look like? What does my accounts receivable look like? And let's take a look at some commission reports. To create a report, you'll click on the checkboxes in the fields you want to report on. You can also add filters to narrow down date ranges or statuses of orders in these different sections. Once you've set the information that you want to see in the report, you can enter a report name to save it, and you can also enter the email addresses of the people you want the report to go to. If you want to enter multiple email addresses, simply separate them with a comma. I have a sample saved report that we'll take a look at. I named this one Vehicles Delivered This Month. I am sending it to myself, and I went through and selected the information that was relevant to me, such as order ID, status, dispatcher and salesperson, the business name where it was picked up, when it was picked up, the delivery information, the carrier price, the customer price, and some vehicle information. Once I selected all those, I went and I saved the report. So now every time I want to use the report, I can simply scroll down, adjust the dates, and send the report. The report will be delivered via email to anyone entered in this email address field. This has been an overview of the features used to maximize efficiency within the Shipper TMS. We have some time to answer any questions you might have. All right. James asks, will I get notified if a carrier's insurance is expired? If the carrier's insurance is expired, you'll see the tags that are next to the verified status, next to their carrier name, will be updated to expired insurance. If you have a current load with them, you'll be notified 2 weeks before their insurance expires that it is pending expiration within that 2 weeks. Clint asks, what's the difference between approved and can instantly book statuses? Approved and can instantly book are tied together. Approved status means that you and your team have approved working with that carrier. That carrier meets all of your internal qualifications to move vehicles for you. Can instantly book status is a status that can be applied on top of approved. So once you have marked them as approved, you can then give them that additional status that allows them to book orders with you from orders you post to the super load board without you having to manually approve them, as long as they're not changing anything about the order itself. As long as that happens and they can instantly book status, they can grab loads off the super load board, helping you move cars faster. And we have a note from Denise here. Not a question, but a comment. Thank you for sharing the dashboards. I always forget that those are there, and you just reminded me to spend more time reviewing this data. Thank you so much for pointing that out, Denise. The dashboards is one of my favorite features, just because I think it's a great way to see everything that's going on in your business and to help you proactively get ahead of any issues that may be arising. That has been all of our questions, and we ask you to keep in touch with us. We are active on social media, as well as our blog, and an extensive help center of articles to guide you. You can also reach out to our support team via the chat button in the bottom right-hand corner on any page of our website or your Shipper TMS account. Thank you so much for attending part 2 of the Shipper TMS onboarding webinar. If you have any questions, you can reach out to our support team on our website, superdispatch.com. We will send you a copy of this webinar so you can refer back to it at any time. After this webinar, you'll also receive a survey. We'd love to hear any feedback you might have. Thank you for spending your day with Super Dispatch.